Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there's absolutely no smoking in the venue tonight. That's why you just leave. That's obviously what you do. And what else do I have to say? Turn off your mobile phones. That'll be very embarrassing. We'll take you over to you.
That is industry
And then
standard.
smoke all over it. Yeah. Just everywhere.
Okay, anything else? Is that it? Is that all the things? Yeah, good. You can't move the splash zone down the room.
Yeah.
Right, ready? Great.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a whistle-stop tour of Playing the Fool in the 21st century. My name is Bepo, and these are our stories. Please be aware that we will not be performing circus tonight. Tonight, you step backstage, as it were.
Sorry, Bernie. Kicking and screaming into the present, hasn't it? Okay, right guys. So a few rules and regulations for you to memorize before we begin. Number 1. All art critics are advised that while the show may contain much to criticize, it contains very little in the way of art. If any art is simply what sheer point is actually to apologise in advance. Number 2. We have been called the advocates of freedom, the living embodiment for the strength of the profound. That's purposely a waste of your time and money. This is all mere propaganda. Number 3. For glorious magnificence on this Thursday, I'd like to point out that everything is improved by the addition of sequins. The less than honourable Mr. Shifty would like a second said motion, and in addition wishes to make this statement. Both deeply profound, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, every story will be told tonight has some basic trademarks. In fact, though the wedding dress of truth is no longer white, it has been sullied by the lustful orangutan hyperbole. Take care. He's still about. Somewhere. But fear not. We have bananas!
Light bulb? Anyone?
No light bulbs over here, it's okay.
Okay. A terror. Hello?
Yes.
Light bulb.
Light bulb.
Yes.
I don't understand.
It's
in my interest.
embarrassing.
You haven't seen a light bulb anyway. No. Because sometimes people just carry them just for, safety light bulb. Because all we're doing is waiting for a light bulb.
Like if you're a light bulb, does someone genuinely have a light bulb? If you do, it would really help them.
Seriously, that's kind of light bulb. I don't know why you travel with a light bulb, but...
Oh, light bulb?
Oh my god, old light bulb being in the front
Guy has a light bulb.
Light bulb.
Oh, double light bulb.
Okay, so something gone terribly wrong here.
Okay, well, 2 light bulbs ready with no light bulb.
Okay.
This one's very important to this lady.
This one is important to the lady. Who do we side with, the lady or the gent?
The lady.
The lady? The lady,
Lucky light bulb.
And it's all hey! It's all in the nose, ladies and gentlemen. The smallest mask in the world. Little Red, the signature of our craft. Remember that. Now, a few short introductions are in order, I believe.
Tragedy.
Mr. Shifty.
Harry.
Thursday.
Bepo.
Comedy.
However, for those of you looking for introductions, for definitions, sorry.
You won't find definitions in here anyway.
We are no classic ringside spectacle, no a nouveau cirque.
Except perhaps in the literal sense of the term.
In fact, we've spent the better part of a century slowly realizing the fact that we're not really like any other kind of circ at all.
You're in our tent now.
Anything could happen. 6 big top dropouts who haven't stopped telling stories.
We are composed in equal parts from glitter and doom.
To begin, let me introduce...
Houdini, Leipzig, Canada III at your service. Harry's my friend.
And trust me when I say you're lucky, he's going to assume that you go way back.
And that all of you owe me a drink, which we can laugh over later. We reminisce about that time the thing happened. It was hilarious.
Our street performers back in 92.
92, that is.
Self-taught magical ingenue.
Master in economics, expert accountant.
And as long as he imagines he's alone,
The most mournful trumpet player in Western Europe.
It's a bit nasty.
In short, he is no mere manager of the stage, but of our very lives. In August that same year, we met the unscrupulous Mr. Shifty!
Fire eater by trade, con man by inclination.
With a century-long gambling and nicotine addiction.
A soul stained with blood and whiskey.
he always keeps one or more forms of ignition on his person at all times.
That and the drunken use of kerosene seemed the end to his army days.
When Bepo and Harry first met him, he was apparently, as ever, trying to sell glass as diamonds.
Eager to be noticed, as ever, the winking rose you see before.
It's the delightful lap dance of a disembowelment that goes by the name of Thursday.
A member of the travelling company we joined in 93.
As our resident tightrope walker, she'll keep you on your toes.
Infused with an insatiable compulsion to the use of glitter.
No matter how much she bats those midnight lashes of hers.
Keep an eye on your wallets, your watches, and your wives, ladies and gentlemen. She's as crafty as a fox on pheromones.
Now, these are the twins.
Who look nothing alike, but in all the years I've known them, I've never seen them apart.
We found them one morning among the props of our then resident sons.
Nestled together under a velvet curtain that they pulled down during the night.
Artisans of acrobatic spectacle to their bones, they became comedy and tragedy.
Make of that what you will.
It has been over a century since then.
But it is in those heady days of the fin de siècle our history begins. 1896. In Moscow, the crowds are gathering, perhaps as many as 500,000 strong. Nicholas II has been crowned Tsar of Russia, and in honor of this magnificent occasion, a banquet is to be held. Every person shall receive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things.
Sausage! Pretzel!
Gingerbread and tin mug.
Would you kill for these things? I thought not. Yet, 1,389 people are crushed to death in a stampede simply based on the rumor there would not be enough for them all. That's what mass panic is. A amount of momentary madness, pain, fear. All those were the damned humanity the moment it turned and ran. I wasn't there, but I don't have to imagine much of it. We'd been working on the outskirts, and when the news of the stampede reached us, it came as a bitter irony. A fire had started during the penultimate act of the circus we were with. Behold, as Marianne the Magnificent will now leap through a ring of fire from one horse to another. See her spur them on with the crack of her whip. Watch as these death-defying acts ignite the gear of her steed before she can land and send the blazing horse on a man in charge into the storm! The crowd panicked, just like in Moscow. And behind them they left my Marianne. They drove the breath from her lungs with their heels and didn't look back to see if she still lived. Oh, no, don't look like that. It was 100 years ago. 3 performers and a dozen audience members died in the same way, or in the flames. Though I can still remember her pale face lying there, spattered with blood and ash. Whip was just beside her, inches from her fingers. Of course, this isn't the actual one. No, I left that lying in the sawdust and never looked back. This was given to me by George Claude Lockhart in 1970. The doyen of ringmasters, they called him, the very best. He's the reason we carry these, the reason we tip toppers from our temples. His father was killed in a stampede, of all things, when Lockhart was 17. Funny the way things echo each other. It wasn't until years later I met him, backstage at the London Olympics. At some point in the evening we talked about his father, my Marianne. And he gave me this. Never use. I think I prefer it that way. When I look at this, it is 1896 again. Still, the show must go on.
What followed was a period in our history I like to refer to as Operation Get the Hell Out of Moscow.
We appear to only have 2 choices. Head east on the new Trans-Siberian Railway heading straight into the centre of the Civil War.
Or head west into Europe where every single country is tearing itself apart trying to get at the other.
Not that I call that a choice.
But Shifty lives up to his name. Card comes stowaways and ship-bound statesmen.
Out of St. Petersburg and right into the golden age of American service.
By the longest and most nerve-wracking game of fucking cat and mouse we've ever had to play.
But which ends up with us starting the new year as members of the Hager-Brick Wallace Army of Clowns.
State to state, a new town almost every night.
Choo-choo! Cincinnati! Choo-choo!
Oklahoma.
Choo-choo!
New York.
Choo-choo!
Washington!
Choo-choo!
Arkansas!
Choo-choo!
Minnesota!
Choo-choo! Living in boxcars, travelling by rail, and suddenly we're in demand.
The twins here take the trapeze and spend their nights giggling on the roofs of Russian acrobats as they reminisce about the motherland.
No money, but beautiful.
Just like you, my darling.
Oh, enough of this.
Thursday and Shifty, meanwhile, throw knives at each other.
On and off stage.
Dear God, don't remind me.
Bepo tames lions.
Not very well.
And Harry can take
Exactly right.
Well enough that we get smashed under starlight in every other town.
And some of us take bold local boys back to our bunks.
As I recall, that was Harry.
Who gave the whiskey?
Bonfires by railroads and accordion music.
Played by an ever-laughing to think of that when they spoke no English and a young woman would dance to it.
Jenny Todd of the Flying Wards.
I thought you remember her.
And the Great Dutch brothers, who were always play fighting just for the hell of it to impress us.
I thought you remember them.
And then one night we're all brought right back down to earth.
Welcome to Hammond, Indiana, 1918.
June 22nd, around 4 in the morning.
I can't sleep, but I feel that the carriage is moving slow, so I step out between the boxcars, strike a match on the footplate, and light up. Sometimes I feel separate from the rest of them. That feeling will grow as the years pass. It's a beautiful night. The world rolls on forever. A landscape of shadows. The rattle of the rails in my bones by now a second steel heartbeat. I start thinking of all the people I've conned, all the audiences I've entertained. Seem like so many then, but there's so many more now. Bodies in the darkness watching. And the rails sound like a round of applause, and then it hits. Another driver, asleep at the wheel. He's going faster than we are, he's behind us on the tracks, and well, you can imagine.
Our carriage jackknifes. Off the tracks, tips on its side and slides. The sound alone is deafening. And we're some of the lucky ones.
Tragedy breaks her leg. Bepo cracks a few ribs. Sifty's knocked out for a dozen minutes and we're all bruised like fury down our left side.
Over 80 of our company are killed. More than 100 more in. You could hear the animals screaming.
By the time we're out of the wreckage, the wooden cars are ablaze. Kerosene lamps. Romantic as hell. But we never knew how dangerous.
And then we hear accordion music.
Bepo knows how he and his instrument survived. That part of the story never made the papers.
You know we never knew his name.
I never thought it mattered. He played. That's what mattered.
It's what we all have to do. After all,
The show must go on.
So, the tragedy forces the circus to merge with two others to form the ostentatiously named
American Circus Corporation.
But even that isn't enough to stop up the rise of John Ringling of the Ringling Brothers. And with his acquisition of the corporation in 1929, he owned almost every circus in there.
Just in time for the Great Depression to bring it crashing down.
With the golden age no more than a dust bowl myth and the entire industry in collapse, we head south. Change country and continent.
and it is here we find ourselves 2 years late for something which will change the way we view the world. Let us explain.
In this suitcase is an object which has brought entire countries to their knees.
One capable of most grand-scale violence and most intimate murder.
Behold!
Not deadly serious.
It's theatrics, pure and simple. Trust me on that. We've got good at this game, and I can guess what you're thinking, that this doesn't sound like a weapon.
Seems like perhaps the Western world just is a penchant for the comedy free.
But there is one simple fact that changes the perspective of all this. Economics is perpetual war. Bananas are the AK-47s of trade warfare.
Fire!
What?
It's a slippery business. Fire! Because the casualties of this war are the uncountable dead. Fire! Of entire countries locked in death. Fire! Because maintaining the status quo means that if you're shot in the side, you carry on bleeding. Now try and tell me that's slapstick. Fire! Ciennaga, Colombia, 1928. The Banana Massacre.
Again, we are deadly serious.
For 1 month, the workers of the United Fruit Company strike to demand better working conditions.
Finally, government troops are called in. They lock the access streets to the main square, where workers and their families had assembled and opened fire.
The violence continued, and on January the 16th, 1929, this telegram is sent to the U.S. Secretary of State.
Just can I take a second here and ask everyone to close their eyes very quickly. I'll tell you when you can open them again. It won't be for very long, but if you could close your eyes just for a moment, that would be really wonderful. Thank you. They closed? Thank you. It's just us. You and me. Comedy and tragedy inseparable as ever. If I can smile, why can't you? No one's watching you. Close your eyes.
Comedy, I'm scared.
Then we'll close them together.
Like when you pretend that we were children and make me close my eyes so we would be invisible?
Like that. Ready? Ready? Can you feel your coin in your pocket?
Yes.
You never let it out of your reach. But it's not the coin that's important, it's the trick.
The oldest trick of all.
And the trick isn't the easy palms, the sleight of hand, it isn't the moment you misdirect their gaze or the moment you pull it out from behind their ear. The trick, the simplest trick of all, is the reason for those things.
We figured that.
You told me. In the refugee camps, when the show got too much. The big show. The one that was so hard to laugh at. I've forgotten. So you know the real trick. You do. Tragedy. You do know the real trick. You're the one who told me when I couldn't take it. You reminded me, so please remember now. I need you.
The look on their faces. That's why we do what we do, to make them smile. That's the oldest trick of all. You can open your eyes now, Comedy. You knew it. You can all open your eyes.
You've seen this like so many times. Sometimes we need other people to do it for us.
Come on! It's our cue soon! The show must go on! You feeling hungry? You feeling hungry? Oh yeah!
Together,
Always
together. Or the devil fruit. The devil fruit.
Shaped like something naughty.
You.
Round 3. You do. We're getting closer than ever, aren't we, to the present?
Can you feel us breathing down your necks yet?
The how, the when, the where are largely unimportant now.
We drifted, moved about, like we've always done.
You're getting the idea by now.
What?
You're getting the idea by now, I'd imagine.
And there's still one memory left to deal with before we reach our goal.
Just me left then. One moment, please. It's very good.
No problem. Don't start.
It's April 2003. It's evening. On a dirt track into Kuwait sits a soldier. He can see the city no more than an hour's walk away. In the flame of his lighter, the image that has been haunting him dances. The oil fields a day's walk behind him set alight. The country's blood gushing from a wounded earth and burning. Our soldier becomes aware of another man, watching him across the wasted land. In the distance there is gunfire. Celebration? Not here, just two men watching each other. One older than the other. Our soldier offers him a cigarette, and the older man accepts. He watches the older man inhaling a memory. Then he turns and tells our soldier
how a fire haunts him too. He tells him how he was a soldier once. He tells him the date and time of death of every soldier he knew, or came to know during his war, of his first civilian casualty, of the atrocities carried out on both sides before, how they'll happen again. He tells him of the cholera outbreaks, how the resistance will increase, how there'll be no more celebrations, no more welcomes. He stops and drags his cigarette.
Its tip, the oil fields burn. With them, another fire burns from a war so many years before. Fragile joys, says the old man, they're all we have. Freedom comes at so high a price. There was silence.
Which war did you fight in? Asked our soldier. The old man smiled. You won't believe me, but it was over a century ago, almost 2,000 miles north of here. What did you do when it was over? Asked our soldier, so I tell him. And beside me on that dirt track, our soldier takes another mouthful of flame and laughs, and I laugh with him. You see, I told him the truth. That after I'd had enough of the flames of war, I did the only thing that seemed to make any sense at the time. I ran away, joined the circus, and learned to eat fire.
I'm sure he'd give it back.
They follow history and its dance. Or we follow them. I'm never even sure.
You want to know the political power of a clown?
Nothing! Nil, nada, zero, net.
Why do it then? What's the point?
I used to believe it was better to run. We used to be performers first, people second. Not anymore.
Humanity has always been the greatest show on earth, but the ticket isn't free, not by a long shot.
It's the oldest trick of all.
Remind people they're not alone. Remind them they're alive.
That's why we do what we do.
In the end, the past invades the present.
As you may have noticed, we're not accustomed to dying. I guess it's just not our way.
But everyone's luck runs out in the end. The smiles are only makeup after all.
How much time do we have left?
Not long.
There's so much left to tell.
Thursday, having the best audience we've had so far.
Stole mine.
Harry, getting bananas are word. Mr. Shifty, banana fight.
Tragedy. Getting really, really high in the air for high jumps.
Comedy. Surprising tragedy with our coin trick. Again.
Come on then. I've had my 100 years. I've loved, lost, lived as hard as I could. Don't. I'd say I wouldn't change a moment, but that wouldn't really be true. So what are you waiting for? Oh, you want the magic words?
Oh, yeah. Every night.
All right then. Ready? Aim!
Can you remind me next time?
The world is as beautiful as it is monstrous.
We don't have answers, just stories and hate.
Composed in equal measure from glitter.
And food.
We are the ones who will always drag ourselves from the wreckage.
Is there again to open the show tomorrow? Only the slightest issue out tomorrow.
If